Hey, Eagles fans, if you're a subscriber to the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, you are already registered to win a pair of season tickets for the upcoming season. That's right, you could win a pair of season tickets for the upcoming 2021 season, just for being a subscriber. If you're watching and you're not a subscriber, do it now. Subscribe to the JAKIB Media YouTube channel right now. What do you need to do? Subscribe right now.
Thursday night, Bucks and the Cowboys. But more importantly, for the majority of our viewers here on Birds 365, it's Eagle Week. The Eagles return to the field in a game that counts against the Atlanta Falcons, and the guy who's going to give you every piece of information you need for that game is sitting right next to me. That would be my partner, John McMullen. Johnny Mac, how was your holiday weekend?
It was good. How was yours, Jody? I know you were working.
Yeah, I worked. Why do you? I have to ask because I really want to know. You don't have to ask because you know I worked.
But how many shifts? I do want to know.
Just the regular 3. I was on Saturday, I was on Sunday, and I was on last night.
But sometimes it gets amped up because some people take off on the
True.
holiday.
No double shifts. I did not have to do a double shift at all this weekend. So I guess it was just regular for me, but glad to be back to work. Glad to be back here on Birds 365. The one thing that was good, well, good and bad, I slept in each of the last 3 days. I'm used to getting up early enough to do this show. Since we had Labor Day off, I slept in yesterday. So when the alarm went off this morning at 6:15, I was like, football, that's good. Back to work, that's bad. I got to drink.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like to sleep in. I haven't slept past, I would say, 7:30 in 4 or 5 years.
No, you get up every day no matter what?
Every day. Body clock thing. Even if I don't have to, I'm up.
I can if I stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning like I did
that's different.
Doing a show, then I can sleep till 9
if you're
or 10.
up till at some point, if you're up till 3. Although, I take that last Jets game, which got pushed back because of the weather, and I didn't get home till by the time I was done working, I was 3 or 4 o'clock. I forget what it was. I was up.
Still at 7:30, 7:45.
Yeah, well,
you're nuts.
We had to do the show the next day, so that was part of it. I was up before then. So you just power through it.
And then you hopefully get a nap. We're not napping on the Eagles this year. We're both on, at least right now, the boat that says they can win almost as many games as they're going to lose. I'm sorry, I can't get the Eagles above 500. I've tried, folks. I've gone through the schedule. I've been optimistic. I can't get the Eagles to 9 wins, but or at least between now and Friday, we'll find out. I'm doubting it highly. But we are getting ready for a game on Sunday, and it is the Atlanta Falcons. And, John, I will say this. I think this is a winnable game, more so because I don't think the Falcons are going to be very good this year.
No, I agree with you. Now, here's my concern, and I come up this every year. When you're facing a bad football team, you never want to be on the road for the opener of another team because everybody's jacked up. Everybody's so excited. The environment tends to be really difficult to deal with. So that's number one I don't like about it. Number two, you never want to play a bad team early because they don't know how bad they are yet. And they're still fighting and kicking and clawing. Now, you go to week 14 and the Atlanta Falcons are 3-11. That's when you want the Atlanta Falcons, when they've said, we stink. And not that they're not trying, but, it's human nature. You're saying to yourself, this is difficult. This is a slog. That first week, all those bad teams, they don't know how bad they are yet. Now, you could make that argument for the Eagles from the Falcons.
That's exactly where I was going. Let's take a quick peek back at last year's standings. That's right. The Eagles were 4-11. So that kind of balances it for me. If Atlanta doesn't remember how bad they were last year or how bad they're going to be this year, you can very easily say the same thing about the Eagles.
Yeah, definitely. And that's part of it. So that's where I kind of lean in. If this game were in Philadelphia, I'd be really confident about the Eagles, to be honest. The fact that it's down there is a little bit more difficult. I did ask Nick Sirianni yesterday. The Eagles didn't practice, but we had some Zoom stuff. He's been talking all summer about how it's a big advantage that he's a rookie head coach and he doesn't want to show anything in the preseason. And all of a sudden, week one is here. And oh, by the way, you're against a rookie head coach who doesn't want to show anything. So it's kind of comical in the fact that there's so many mirrored aspects of this game to both teams trying to be a little bit better than people expect them to be. I do think, I will say this, if one of these two teams is going to be a little bit better than people think, it's probably going to be the Eagles. So that part of it is a positive to me.
That I do agree. I want to ask you about a couple of guys that the Eagles made available to you via Zoom yesterday, Nick Sirianni being one of them. Another one was a guy who was, for me, I guess I shouldn't be, but I was a little surprised of his choice as a captain. The Eagles named their 6 captains yesterday, as Sirianni explained to you guys and everybody else, by player vote. That's the way he's always done it. Any team he's ever been on, the players vote for it. They came up with 6 guys, 4 on the defensive side, 2 on the offensive side. Read into that what you think you must. The 2 offensive guys were Jalen Hurts, who is, yes, very young in his NFL career to be a captain, but if a quarterback is a leader, he basically has to be one of your captains. That's a foregone conclusion.
And he is a leader, by the way. I think, he would have got voted anyway because we talk about Jalen Hurts. He's a natural leader, but people gravitate towards him. So that wouldn't even surprise me regardless of position. But sorry to interrupt.
No, I didn't. You're right. He's a leader and he's the quarterback, so it was a no-brainer. Kelsey has been one of the leaders on this team for seems like sneaking up on a decade now, so nobody's surprised by that. Certainly Fletcher Cox, the highest paid, been around a long time. He gets a nod, as does Brandon Graham, who is absolutely one of the leaders on the defensive side of the ball. Rodney Macleod, if you've got a safety who's a leader and a guy who's going to call signals, and we assume Rodney's going to call them if he's going to be out there. We still don't know if he's going to play week 1, but it seems like the Eagles are targeting that and hoping that's the case. Otherwise, they probably would have put him on the IR to start the season. And Alex Singleton, which I guess part of that is special teams. He was a big part of their special teams last year. And even though he's targeted to be on the field as a linebacker for a lot of snaps this year, he'll still be part of the special teams. There's usually a special teams guy in there, but he is also one of the defensive players. So it breaks out 4-2. Defense over offense. You read anything into that, Johnny Mac?
No, in fact, I think Alex is more of the special teams. Not that he's not going to play defense, but I think he's the special teams captain, essentially, from that. It's interesting you bring that up, and the Eagles apologize for this. They gave us Singleton on Zoom, as you mentioned, and then they released the captains as soon as he left. And they said they did apologize behind the scenes.
I was waiting for the question about, hey, Alex, how about making captaincy? Because I didn't watch it till after the fact.
Yeah.
So I already knew who the captains were, and then I watched the interviews on the website, and I said, how did they not ask him about the captaincy?
Yeah, because we didn't know, or we would have, and it would have been nice. Right in between Alex, I think he was the last player to speak, and Nick Sirianni, they announced the captains, and they said, sorry, the social media blunder. They sent, these days, the Eagles release everything on social media first.
Right.
And they did apologize for it, but that's why I wasn't asked the question. So it would have been nice to ask the question. We will eventually, obviously, but yeah, I mean, to me, it brings up, okay, this is the special teams captain. Not that Alex, might play more than anybody else because he's going to be out there all the time on defense and he's going to be out there all the time on special teams. Really, really a great story in the fact that, this is an example for other players and really it starts with Jalen Hurts, to be honest, because I say it all the time, no matter what the Eagles say, they didn't want him on the field. They didn't want him. They're trying Nate Garys of the world who can't play a lick, and they finally put him on the field, and he plays so well they can't get him off. And yeah, but new coaching staff, he finally proved himself to the old coaching staff. He's got to do it again to the new coaching staff. He comes in. Remember, he tested positive at the beginning of training camp for COVID. He got killed for that. He got shamed for that because people didn't wait. And sure enough, he was vaccinated. It was a breakthrough case. Comes back, plays lights out, proves himself to the new coaching staff. He's a captain of this team. It really is the path for Jalen Hurts. And Jalen has a much bigger pedigree than Alex Singleton. But from the standpoint of, if you play well and you're on the field, they're not taking you off the field. From that standpoint, he's a perfect example.
I hope it's the same exact with the new coaching staff. I think it's going to be. They will not forget what Singleton did last year, and they'll judge him for what he's done this year, which, oh, by the way, in the preseason games, which the Eagles seem to de-emphasize like no other team in the National Football League, he was their best player during his preseason games. He's all over the field, making tackles, making splash plays. So, yes, I think he's going to be on the field a lot.
I would argue the Rams de-emphasize even more than the Eagles. The Rams don't play anybody.
That's I stand corrected. Thank you, Johnny Macleod. They played nobody. But at least their head coach has actually been in a Super Bowl. So he's got the gravitas to make that kind of decision. Oh, that's right. Nick Sirianni isn't deciding. Howie Roseman is. I digress. I do want to ask about this, though, because when I heard it, I immediately thought of you. And I give you credit for singing the praises of Alex Singleton here because you are just judging the facts. Alex Singleton took a shot at your boy, Schwartz, yesterday.
He did.
He did say that Schwartz's defense has been around since
he was stumbling when he was doing it.
It's been around since like the Stone Age, and yes, that's what Jim Schwartz runs, and we shall not change it because it is the Jim Schwartz defense, and it's your job to fit into the Jim Schwartz defense, whereas this year's defense under Jonathan Gannon is going to be pretty damn flexible, and none of you guys really know what we're going to do yet, so look out for the new and improved flexible defense of the Philadelphia Eagles, which I laughed at, but I even thought was a little harsh because it was Jim Schwartz who put him out there to give him a chance to prove he belongs in the NFL. But the inflexible defense that the Eagles used to run.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people, same thing, and we'll probably talk about Dallas Goedert saying the Eagles went a different way. However he phrased that, I'll have to look up the exact quote. I thought people overjumped that. Remember, when you're talking, and you and I do this every day, you're talking extemporaneously. Sometimes you could see Alex going, uh-oh, when he was talking about. I think he was trying to compliment Jonathan Gannon. And then about halfway through, he was like, oh, and he started
a Schwartz shot. Yes, he did.
And he started stumbling around a little bit. Look, I mean, yeah, Jim is honest. Jim definitely has a philosophy, definitely has a system. His goal is to make the players play fast. He tries to simplify it as much as possible. But I do think it's unfair. And I think if Alex is back, he'll admit that. I mean, he used to get killed, for instance, for playing too much zone, and then Slay gets here and he gets killed for playing too much man-to-man and vice. I mean, it is what it is. But I think Alex Singleton was trying to compliment Jonathan Gannon, and he started stumbling about halfway through, and he probably said, uh-oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. But he can say that. Who cares? Jim's not here anymore.
He entertained me. I can tell you that because you're a bigger Schwartz fan than I was. All right. The other guy, one of the other guys they gave you yesterday was Dallas Goedert. Speaking his mind, was asked about the ongoing contract negotiations with the Eagles, said he and his representation thought they were going to be able to get something done. But the Eagles went another way.
I knew that was going to get played up. And there's another example. Look, again, in these Zoom circumstances, I'm going to try to ask Dallas when we get back down to practice and we're back to not, face-to-face, but at least person-to-person interviews where we can get within 6 feet of them and try to get some clarification. The way I took it as he thought he was going to get an extension done. It didn't get done. Look, there's a lot of reasons for that. I think the Eagles' salary cap issues, again, lighten up after the season, not before the season. I think his representation knows, and they were just validated by the Mark Andrews contract in Baltimore, that this guy's going to get paid a lot of money. the Eagles are probably looking for a more cost-effective, cost-friendly deal, and they probably would have signed off on it. So I think that's what he was trying to get at, but the way he phrased it, and again, Dallas is just a player speaking off the top of his head. It comes across like, oh, the Eagles are going in a different direction, like they told him that. I do think the Eagles want Dallas Goedert. The Eagles plan to have Dallas Goedert, and the Eagles plan to sign him to an extension. They just haven't been able to get it done yet. There's a couple curveballs. As we said, when Minnesota lost Irv Smith, they called the Eagles, but they called the Eagles about Dallas Goedert, not Zach Ertz. And evidently Howie Roseman placed the price so high that Minnesota went in a different direction. Then there's also the constant Deshaun Watson rumors. So if Deshaun Watson ever decides, okay, throw Philadelphia in the mix, the assumption around the league is, well, you're going to have to give some players along with draft picks to Houston if you're going to acquire a player like that. And the Eagles don't have a ton of young players that would fit into, the type of talent you're looking for when you're trying to spin off. So the assumption is Goddard would be in that type of trade. Howie Roseman's always open for business. Always. That's why he got in trouble with Zach Ertz. He'll listen. You pick up the phone, you ask about anybody, he'll listen. But I don't think they're actively shopping Dallas Goedert. They're actively trying to get rid of Dallas Goedert. They just haven't gotten to the point where they feel they can get the extension done.
It's fun. I think it's funny that you said Howie throws a one ask number on Goddard, and Minnesota decides to go in another way. And you were questioning Dallas Goedert in the way he described the Eagles decided to go in another way. Maybe Dallas and his representation believed the Eagles' offer was so low as compared to other tight ends in the league. You said they would have liked to get a cap-friendly deal for themselves. Maybe that's how they interpret the Eagles have gone another way, because they didn't really bring a fair and true and compromisable deal.
That is probably true. That is probably, I mean, they want less than what Mark Andrews got. I can tell you that, because, the bar was Kittle, and they didn't want to go above that bar. I do know that. So generally contracts are about timing and circumstance. We always talk about it. The next guy gets the most money.
Yep.
Dallas Goedert and is trying to get the most money. And he should, because he's well regarded around the league. But the Eagles are probably going to hold off until their salary cap situation is better. And you remember, you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I said, if I were Dallas Goedert, I would bet on myself, because it isn't going down. And this is what Joe Banner always says, and he's right, by the way. That's why the Eagles sort of set this philosophy in motion. Identify young players you like, you want early, and extend them as early as possible, because it never comes down. Again, unless there's a massive injury or something of that nature, the numbers never coming down. So the Eagles have been smart with that. And on the other side of the fence, you can be smart about it too and realize that number's not coming down. If I just play to my level, it's going up. And I think Dallas Goedert should bet on himself.
Here's the one way that it might not go Dallas Goedert way and go up, and you say the number has to go up. No, they were banking on him being the tight end one. And right now, if you ask me who's got the chance to go out and make the most catch and get the most yards to the Eagles, it's a toss-up between he and Zach Ertz. So there's a 1 and 1A. And a lot of people believe during this offseason, Zach Ertz was going to be the one, and who knows who's going to be the two, Richard Rodgers or whoever else. He's now sharing that tight end one position, and you keep trying to tell me they're going to try and get into less 12 formation than they did last year. I don't know about that, because their best players are both tight ends when it comes to receivers. So
I agree with that, but I don't think it's up to, if Zach Ertz plays like Zach Ertz previously, 2015 to 2019 version, and Dallas Goedert just plays like Dallas Goedert, it's still going up, because people are still going to value him. In other words, if they both play well, people are not going to say, oh, Dallas Goedert isn't a good player. They already think he is around this league. And I don't think that part of the equation shifts if Zach Ertz plays well. But I agree with you with the Eagles, Nick Sirianni. Boy, I think it's going to happen week 1. They might try to throw out Jalen Reagor and Quez Watkins. Let's get speed on the field. And, man, that first press coverage bump, the first drop, and they're going to go, let's get our good players on the field. I agree with you.
Let's get our best lineup out there. All right. He is John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. Coming up next, we got our first guest of the day. We tried to get him up here last week. Miscommunication on my part with the rosters being cut down. Guy who knows what it's like to put together a roster in the National Football League. He did so for the Washington Redskins, their former general manager. Now talk show host in Baltimore, Vinny Serrato. Up next here on Bird Street.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.